Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of the semester. By the end of the week 4, we will be done with 25% of the semester. In this video, I am going to remind you of adaptive learning. I'm going to give you a lot of context for the bundle and the wider curriculum so that you understand how and why this week's tasks are so important as it connects to previous and later learning and graded assignments. And we're also going to end with me motivating you to talk about assumptions about practice makes perfect and how thinking about our assumptions about that can actually enlighten us and help us do better with what this class has to offer, including the week 4 instructional videos. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with adaptive learning and reminding ourselves of that. So as you know from the syllabus, and as you know from perhaps other experiences you've already had, I do deploy adaptive learning, and you're definitely going to see that in the remainder of the bundles for the semester. So just make sure that you are always going by the course schedule and realize that sometimes you will have to submit something before you can access something new. I do remind you and pinpoint where that is the case within the bundle. So you'll see, for example, below the link to a content folder within a bundle, you'll see a reminder in bold that, hey, you have to submit task 1A before you can get access to task 1BC. And then I'll have a reminder that says you have to submit task 1C before you can get access to task 2. So I do remind you of the adaptive learning and where it's deployed within a bundle and across a bundle, even within content folders. Within content folders, I may also use adaptive learning, and you shall experience that as you go. All right, so let's talk about what's going on with week 4, why it's important, and how it connects to other lessons and future assignments. So during week 3, you learned about the importance of doing ethics and the philosopher's approach to doing just that. You also learned about intellectual virtue generally, the character traits of good thinkers, learners, and communicators, and then about 4 of many kinds of intellectual virtue. Can you recall the names for any of those virtues? They were intellectual humility, intellectual courage, intellectual empathy, and intellectual perseverance. As I stated during week 3, that is the week 3 bundle intro, being mindful of and attempting to manifest these virtues will be useful to you in this course as well as your academics and beyond generally. In the context of this course, I will be using the respective concepts explicitly in writing, for example, in instructions I post on a Blackboard page or in assignment documents that you download. I will be making explicit use of the intellectual virtues when I email or post announcements with general reminders and course updates. And of course, I will be reminding you of and manifesting and role modeling myself the intellectual virtues in various instructional videos and whatnot throughout the entire semester. I might even have you quote from one of the lessons on the intellectual virtues and talk about whether you were able to manifest or a given intellectual virtue. For example, I might have you do that in TaskWrapper. I'll definitely have you reflect on intellectual virtue at the end of the semester in your week 16 essay. All right, so intellectual virtue focuses on what some would call soft skills, but what I call empowering traits that lead to a better command of technical skills associated with critical thinking, the pursuit of truth, the development of wisdom, making good choices, and the good life. This week, we are going to focus on technical skills. All the tasks in the week 4 bundle folder focus on building your competence with respect to argument. That argument is a core aspect of thinking philosophically about ethics, is evident in your ebook. An entire chapter is devoted to the logician's concept of an argument. Remember, logicians are people who study the methods and principles by which we can evaluate whether an argument provides good and adequate reasons in support of a conclusion. As you know from the week 2 lessons, arguments consist of statements where at least one, a reason, is given in support of another, a conclusion. This week, you are going to be given new information, new details, a more in-depth treatment of how philosophers, from the standpoint of logic, think about argument. While we focused on the definition for argument to make sure we were constructing During week 2, we focused on the definition of argument to make sure we were constructing good, usable arguments for future learning and graded assignments. During week 4, we're going to focus on the definition for argument to analyzed arguments, our own arguments, our peers, and those of the philosophers we learn about and their theories about right and wrong. While we focused on constructing, building, creating arguments during week 2, where the conclusion comes first, you are going to see from week 4, the week 4 lessons, that conclusions can be found in the middle and at the end of a given series of statements in an argument as well. You are going to learn a lot about analyzing arguments in this class, so be sure to manifest all of the intellectual virtues as you work through the lessons on argument analysis and clarification, by the way, and throughout the semester. Okay, so this brings us to the last part of this video. You are going to be doing 2 soft talk modules. Each soft talk module focuses on analyzing arguments in some way, making sure that you understand them. Now, each argument module is followed by a set of instructional videos. The instructional videos further elaborate, extend on the lessons, demonstrate how to elaborate what you learn about in the module, and allow you an opportunity to practice. That means the soft talk modules are the theory part, the facts about argument and argument analysis. The videos that follow are the how-to part, the practice part. Let's talk about teamwork. You do your part optimally, so I can do my part optimally, so we can work together optimally. That is, in the context and format of the curriculum that has been created. Have you heard of the term practice makes perfect? What is the relationship between a coach and the team, the coach and the individual team members? Doesn't the coach work with individual team members and the team as a whole through practice? Well, what should we think about practice? We've all heard the saying, practice makes perfect. That said, what is an important assumption to identify, to work with in terms of that saying, practice makes perfect? Let's say you want to become good at chess. You want to become a chess master. Is playing checkers going to optimally help you become a chess master? No. Why not? Let's say I practice every day, 5 hours playing checkers. My goal is to become good at playing chess. What is wrong with the practice? I mean, I'm practicing every hour. I study the rules for checkers. I play with the best checker players. I read about playing checkers. I have a checker coach. What would be wrong? Why wouldn't practicing for checkers, given all that, help me become a good chess player? Because the practice isn't for chess. What I'm really trying to get at is that the assumption behind the saying, practice makes perfect, misses a point or assumes another point, that the practice itself is perfect and relevant and optimal. If you're not practicing in the right way, if your practice is off, if you're focusing on the wrong things in your practice, whatever you're trying to get good at, then whatever you're trying to get good at will not be manifested optimally because the practice isn't appropriate. Why am I getting at all this? Because in the instructional videos that follow the theory part, the facts about argument and argument analysis in this class, in the videos, I am going to be pausing or ask you to pause to practice applying what you learn as we go. So I'm definitely going to demonstrate throughout the instructional videos and definitely with our first argument how to apply what we have been learning, what we are learning. But the demonstration is there to show you, to role model for you what you need to do. Whenever I recommend or suggest to you that you pause the video to try for yourself to apply something, you really need to seize that opportunity that the instructional video gives you. If you just sit and wait for the answer, you are engaged in passive learning. Passive learning, where you just wait for the answer all of the time, it may build familiarity, but familiarity is not the same thing as being able to apply and do. Familiarity is at the bottom of Bloom's taxonomy. It has to do with remembering and understanding. And that is important. Why? Because you cannot apply what you do not remember and understand. In other words, you cannot apply that which you do not know in terms of remembering and understanding. And that's why the modules are important. You have to remember facts and rules and concepts. Otherwise, you have nothing to apply. That said, that is lower level knowledge. And you need to create the brain cells for that and the neural pathways to recall the facts about argument and argument analysis, the definitions, the rules, and whatnot. But the higher level learning consists in being able to analyze and apply what you learn in virtue of that analysis, given the things that you can recall and remember, given the facts that you learn about argument analysis, concepts, lessons, and rules. To get that higher level learning done, that higher level knowledge of analysis and application, you need to practice. And you'll want to practice in the way that I coach you in the video, because the way that I coach you in video gets you to practice perfectly. Practicing isn't just watching me do the argument analysis and application. Perfect practice will entail you following the directions, doing what I do, what I role model for you in the videos to do. All right, so I hope that motivates you and gives you a sense of how to work through the bundle and why it's important.